got the voice, you've got the words. You teach the world what they haven't yet heard. You're the expert, the one they trust. Now there's a tool to multiply us to not just hype. This is your edge. Turn every talk into income instead. Write it faster, launch it loud. Sage Tools are here, stand up proud. Sage Tools, from Sage from the stage. Turn your knowledge into center stage. Sage Tools, it's your time to shine. Let AI boost your bottom line. Sage Tools, yeah, Sage from the stage. Work smart now and set the wage. You don't need tech, you don't need code. Just bring your story and hit the roads. Books, courses, real, and AI spin your 3 genius wheels. You coach, you guide, you write. Sage Tools help you do it right. More time, more reach, more things you sell. This ain't just cool, it works like hell. Sage Tools, from Sage from the stage. Turn your message into front page. Sage Tools, yeah, Sage from the stage. This is your time, go light the blaze.
You've already had the knowledge, now you got the tools. This isn't the future, it's your next move.
Sage Tools, from Sage from the stage. Turn your smarts into center stage. Sage Tools, it's your AI edge. Unlock the power, claim your pledge.
It is my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who's not only a longtime friend, but a catalyst behind much of what we're going to show today. Mitch Creighton is a seasoned speaker, author, and business strategist who has spent decades helping entrepreneurs think bigger, move faster, and sell smarter. In fact, many of the Sage Tools we're demonstrating today were born out of conversations that I had with Mitch. His ability to spot opportunity is unmatched. While you might know Mitch as a travel expert and small ship cruising specialist, what really makes him stand out is his ability to zoom out, see the big picture, and then zoom back in with later focus strategies to help you grow your business. His insights into branding, value-based selling, and audience engagements are the kind of things that can change your revenue trajectory. He's also a powerful advocate for AI, so you can future-proof your business and stay relevant without sacrificing authenticity. Please join me in welcoming the idea man himself, Mitch Creighton.
Well, thank you very much. Folks, welcome to the dawn of the transformative era. Artificial intelligence is no longer just a concept from science fiction. It's a tangible force reshaping our world as we know it. Embrace it or fear it. Either way, it's here now, and the choice is yours. Will you become a spectator or a trailblazer in this revolution? Do you remember early word processors? Oh, you needed mastery of special keys, chords, commands, just to get simple things like bold, italic, or indent done. And they said that word processors would put out typists and all of the support staff, they would lose their jobs. But instead, it just empowered everybody, and it recast the job of what a typist was to be much more empowered to add graphics and make entire booklets instead of simply pages with whiteout and carbon paper. There are many technologies that have come and people have resisted them because they were afraid of them. They hear about it, but they're worried about it. Artificial intelligence is the current technology that has everybody just so excited, but also so cautioned because they don't understand it. Now, you can work on hundreds of different tools that have come out in the recent weeks, months, but you are going to you can work with hundreds of AI tools that have come out recently, but for the most part, if you're not a programmer's mindset and you don't know how to talk to it correctly, you're probably going to get weird or poor results. AI is rapidly evolving. It will not replace humans. It is a tool to enhance human productivity. It will replace the mundane, repetitive, and tedious tasks you do every day by accessing vast amounts of information and converting it into tools you need and you'll use every day, and it does it quickly. You don't need to be a programmer to harness the power of AI. Imagine web-based tools at your fingertips that can save you hours, amplify your brand, and supercharge your revenue. Oh, this isn't distant future, my friends. It's the reality we can create together today. So get ready to uncover the incredible potential of AI tools designed just for you. Tools that will not only streamline your workflow, but will also put you ahead of the curve in this fast, evolving landscape. Let's dive in and revolutionize how you work, think, and thrive. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Greg Jameson. Greg has been working with artificial intelligence since the mid-1980s, back when most people thought AI was just science fiction. He's not just ahead of the curve, he built the curve. Greg Jameson has developed hundreds of e-commerce websites, created powerful AI tools for real businesses, and written over 20 books that show you how to actually use AI to grow your bottom line, not just talk about it. Greg's known as your AI architect for business growth, and when you hear him speak, and when he shows you what he's been able to use AI and convert it into human-centric tools, you'll understand why. So get ready to challenge your thinking, laugh a little, and leave inspired. Please help me welcome Greg Jameson.
Thank you, Mitch. This is going to be super exciting today as we demonstrate some of the tools that you and I have been talking about. We call this Sage Tools.
Yes.
And this is part of a bigger initiative that Mitch and I have been working on actually for years. It started out with something that we called Sage Talks. It has evolved into something now that is much broader than that. It's called Sage from the Stage, and Sage Tools is the primary aspect that we're going to be focusing on today. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will dig right into this. So you can see the home page of Sage Tools, and some of the tools are described with a little bit of a graphic and short description here. Most of the stuff that we're going to be working with is actually available from the menu off on the side. And the first one that I want to actually share with you today is under book genres.
So how many different kinds of books can people write using this tool? Greg?
So, great question there, Mitch. As you can see, there's, and I haven't counted these, there's a number of different fiction types of books that you can write, a number of nonfiction types of books that you can write. And you can actually use some of these to, even though they're designed for a specific type of book, you can, back on the home page, we saw that there's just this nonfiction book writer. So you can kind of utilize it to describe perhaps a book that isn't in one of the genres that we have specified here. I don't know what that might be, but you could do that. So let's just take an example of one, and I'm going to start out by writing a horror book. One of the reasons why I want to do this is that a few weeks ago, the Stanley Hotel up in Estes Park was sold. And it's like, that sounds like a really good opportunity to write some kind of a horror novel based around the fact that the Stanley has always been known as being haunted. Now that it's got a new owner, maybe question why that's the case, why it's got a new owner, and perhaps there was a new murder that occurred there, and we've got ghosts that are now fighting over their territory and so forth. So the way that this works is you can upload any works that you've already got in progress. So if you started writing a book and you've got 2 or 3 chapters written and you want to just finish it, you can upload your previous writing into this. That's totally optional. Down below that, you input any background information that you want relative to the book that you're going to write. So I'm just going to put in some information about this, and you can probably read it on the screen, but I'm talking about just days before the historic Stanley Hotel changed hands, that there's this grisly double murder, and now what's going to happen? Are the ghosts going to be at war? At that point, I simply hit submit.
And I notice there's no coding, there's no prompting, there's nothing behind the scenes other than here's an idea I have, here's a concept of using that idea. Do something for me. And here it goes.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the design of all of the Sage tools, is that the prompting is something that we built into the system, so you don't have to learn how to be a prompt engineer. You just need to know what it is that you want to do. In this case, writing a book, a horror book about the Stanley. And you can see it comes up with some title ideas. It comes up with a table of contents. It writes an introduction, and it just started out immediately writing chapter 1 based upon just that little bit of information that we gave it. At the bottom, you'll notice it says, would you like for me to continue with chapter 2? Well, there's a couple things that you can do. One is this little icon at the bottom that looks like 2 overlapping squares is a copy icon. So if you want, you can just copy that out to a clipboard and then paste this into a Word document or however you're going to format it into your book. The other icon is a little chat icon. And when you click on that, you can actually tell the AI to change something in the first chapter. And that's really one of the most powerful things as you're writing a book, is this whole idea of having iterative interactions with the AI. So you don't have to just take whatever information it's spitting out to you. You can say, hey, wait a minute, I want to go in this direction instead of that direction. And I know I actually wrote my first fiction book using AI in this process, and it was a lot of fun to do this because I could control the flow of the story. If you like the direction that it's going, of course, you can simply say something like, write chapter 2.
What I am always so amazed at is the speed by which it does it and how perfectly it is composed with correct grammar and correct punctuation. Wow.
Yeah, that's in some ways that's actually one of the biggest giveaways of AI, is that the grammar and the punctuation, the typing is perfect. And When AI first came out a couple of years ago, the generative AI stuff, people were putting uh, programs out there that were designed to see if something was written by AI. And they could actually do that in the early versions of AI because of a couple of different things in terms of the way that they wrote. It has become almost impossible for any software now to determine whether or not something was written by AI or written by a human. One of the only real differences is what you were just saying there, Mitch, is the perfection at which it doesn't have any typos.
But even grammatically and layout wise, it's not just raw text that then you have to spend lots of time reformatting. There it is. And it is just mind boggling that it has some base of reference to grammar and dictionary and other stories of this kind of genre that it can put together something that has never been seen before and yet is exciting to read.
And that's actually a really key point as well, is that the way that AI works is it is generating things that are completely new. If we think, I'll just describe a little bit about how AI works. And the way that it is working is that think in terms of a term paper that you may have had to have written in high school. You go out and you read a couple of books, you do some internet searches, but you gather this information, and then from that information that you've gathered, you write a brand new term paper, something that no one's ever written before. That's essentially exactly the way that AI is working, except instead of reading a couple of books and visiting a dozen or so websites or even interviewing a couple of people, the AI has access to the entire internet, the entire human knowledge base that's ever been in existence. Uh, all these AI programs have downloaded the entire internet, and so it's accessing millions and millions of pieces of data to generate something that's completely unique. So when people are worried about plagiarism, that is extremely unlikely that that would ever happen simply because of the number of data points it's using as a reference to generate this type of material.
And you can, as the author, play with this, just like when a pianist gets a piano concerto. The writer of the piano concerto had something in mind, but the pianist interprets that. And so what you get as a result from ChatGPT is a manuscript. And you can take that manuscript and put it in your own voice. Maybe you want to add some humor to it. Maybe you want to add some skepticism to it, or think about a different perspective from a different character. You can make those modifications, and then it even becomes much more personal. So you have the advantage of a research assistant helping you express what you want to express. It's then definitely your work.
Yep. So let's go on with the next tool. And what we're going to do in this case is actually create an online course from a book that we have written. Now, the book may have been written with the assistance of AI, however you wrote your book, but we're going to create a course.
Now,
And
most people who are coaches and mentors and professional speakers, they have a theme they speak on. They have a signature talk. They have expertise, and you can only do so many things in front of one audience at a time. But if you wrote a book and then wanted that book to become courseware that could be generating additional passive revenue to you, that's difficult to do for most people. And we're going to show you how it can be done using Sage Tools and the power of artificial intelligence.
Exactly. So in this case, the online course creator, I'm going to upload a book, it says, or any other background information on which to base this course. And you can see it says optional. You actually don't even have to have the book in order to create the online course. But if you have written the book, it makes it easy to convert that book into a course. So I'm going to choose a file, and the file that I'm going to put in there is a PDF file called Thinking Machines. This is one of the books that I have written. And I'll just show it briefly. So this is the Thinking Machines book, Exploring the Present and Future of AI. Let's go back to our screen. And we can see that the thinkingmachines.pdf has been uploaded. You can actually upload multiple files if you have them. So if what you have done is you've got your book and it's all in different chapters, or you've got some additional materials that you want, you can just click on the paperclip icon and continue to upload as many background knowledge files as you want. The course topic in this case is going to be the present and future of AI. We can specify a degree of difficulty. We'll just leave it at beginner. Let's say that we want 12 modules. I happen to know that there was 12 chapters in the book, but that doesn't really matter. You can break this into as many modules as you want. And within each module, you'll have different lessons as well that it will generate for you. You specify the format of the course. Is it going to be self-paced, instructor-led, live workshop? Do we want to utilize hands-on application, theoretical knowledge, or a combination? Let's go ahead and change that to a combination. The length of the course, again, you can specify this, who your target audience is, and the course format. Is it going to be video-based or text-based or some kind of mixed media? Well, let's change it to mixed media. If there's any specific tools or software, this is completely optional. You can specify that as part of the background knowledge that it needs. And then the desired outcome after completing the course, i.e. the student should be able to do something. If you are kind of unsure about that, again, this is an optional field. Mitch and I were actually just talking about how this is something that is really actually kind of important, whether you're giving a speech or writing a book or creating a course, that you actually want to know what the desired outcome is going to be. So,
You want to be able to measure your success. When I'm done, how will I know it was effective? How will I know it solved a problem? How will I know the learner learned? And that's really critical when somebody is paying for a course. They want to know, okay, how do I know that I reached my objective?
So I'm just going to put in that the student should have a general understanding of how AI works. There's actually more to it, the book, than that. But again, I simply hit submit. And much like we saw when we were writing the horror novel, what this is going to do is put together a course outline based upon the information in the book. So it's reading the materials that you have uploaded. And we'll just scroll through all this. At the bottom, we get to module 12, and you can see that it gives you some ideas here, but it hasn't totally fleshed this out. So let's go back to lesson or to module 1, and we can see that it says a video script, a brief introduction to using AI real world examples like virtual assistants. Well, what we can do is we can say by clicking on the chat icon, uh, flesh out module 1 and give me a complete video script that I can use. Now you may want to do this for each of the modules. You may want to say, hey, break this down into multiple lessons within that module, whatever you want to do. But you can see that in this case, it is actually developing a video script that we can use to develop that course.
And knowing how to script for video is different than knowing how to script a talk for the stage. And so you may not understand script writing, but this does. And it will put it in the right framework. If you wanted to polish this project and do all these aspects yourself, that's fine. But if you wanted to hire a team of people that were going to help you with the video, this is giving them the construct to work together collaboratively and come up with a powerful project. So it just is amazing to me.
And as you're putting this together, it tells you, hey, here's some graphic ideas too. In this case, a timeline illustrating key milestones in AI development, and it has a prompt there. Well, I can simply say exactly what it said to do. Yeah, let's create that image so that I can put that into a slide that I'm going to talk over with that particular module. And if I've broken this down into different lessons, I could actually have multiple images and multiple slides for doing this. So you'll notice
It's it's generating graphics as well as words, which is the way you wanted to do it in your head, but you wouldn't know how to prompt this to make that work typically.
Yeah, and you'll notice that just being totally transparent here, that, hey, it says that there was an error generating it the first time, so they tried it again, and eventually it's going to give you something. The nice thing about this is that you can even then say, hey, you included these milestones. Could you add in these other milestones and recreate a new graphic? You can also obviously right click on this and save that image out and then utilize it again in your slide deck. So those are just a couple of the tools that we have under Author Tools. We have broken all of this out into separate modules, and next we'll talk about a couple of tools in the Speaker Tools.
And again, anybody who's a subject matter expert has been asked to stand in front of a group of people and explain something, whether it's scientific or technical, motivational, inspirational. Writing speeches and delivering speeches, it's probably the most important form of communication we have. But everybody will tell you, I don't know what to say. So these tools are here to help you create an I now know what to say, to share my expertise, to share what I know as to be a successful strategy, and do it in the form of a speech.
So The first speaker tool that I want to show you is under speaking opportunities, and this is finding speaking engagements. This was one of the tools that came about during our beta testing phase of these tools, where somebody said, well, it's nice that you've got all these tools for writing a speech and so forth, but I really want to go out and be able to find a place where I can deliver my speeches.
And
So,
this is really the $1 million nugget. So I have a product, I have a message, I have an idea. Where do I find the people that want to hear it? And more importantly, if they want to hear it, will they pay me? Is it information worth hearing and being paid for? Where are those people? And what would it be worth to you to know where the gigs are? We have it here.
and the way that this works is much like the other tools that we've showed you, the background knowledge upload, you can paste in your website. This is completely optional, but it will give the tool some background training on what types of things you are capable of talking about, especially if you truly have a speaking website. The type of subject matter expert that you are, you need to put that in. So I'm just going to utilize myself as an example here, and I'm just going to say artificial intelligence. When I was growing up, Mitch was mentioning how I've been involved in AI since the mid 1980s, and my dad always used to tell me that artificial intelligence is what you use when you don't have any real intelligence. So the topic I want to speak about is how to use AI to generate new revenue streams. And where do I want to speak? Well, I could put in worldwide, I could put in the United States, I can put in a specific city if I want to. I'm just going to say the United States. And do I want to look only for paid speeches, unpaid speeches, either paid or unpaid? I'll click on that. Or pay to play, as in I want to sponsor something so that I'm paying the event coordinator a fee, which guarantees that I get a certain amount of time on stage to their audience. The type of speaking gig, it can be a live in-person event, a virtual event, either in-person or virtual, or I can even say, I'm just looking to be a podcast guest. Then other information about the kinds of events that you're looking for, such as the number of attendees. You know, I only want to speak to audiences that have 100 or more people. I only want to speak to people that have sponsorship opportunities or whatever the case might be. Someplace where I can sell my books, whatever it is. I'm going to just put in either 2025 or 2026, so either this year or next year, and hit submit. As you can see, it goes out and it actually does a search across the internet specifically for these types of events. The
And some
difference is
some of these events of national organizations are published a couple of years out, but a lot of local events, a lot of community events, they're only put out on the internet. And for you to have to figure out where to find all this information is quite daunting.
it really is, and you're going to have to visit multiple websites to basically get the kind of information that you've got here. And it could literally take you days or weeks to find this information. But you can see that it is going to give you what it finds. In this case, April has already passed, but their website is still showing it as 2025, which is the reason why it came up. But the fact that they had this conference in April of this year, they're likely to have the same conference again next year. The location may or may not be different. The contact information, they said that's not actually specified on the website. So you'd probably want to click on the website and go to that website itself to see what else you could find out about it. But the AI Summit 2026, the location is still being confirmed, but it has an application deadline of the end of this year. So that might be one that if I'm really looking to speak at the AI Summit in 2026, I would want to visit their website. And you can see that it will generate and give you a list of at least 10 locations. You just like with the other tools, you can click on the chat icon and say, hey, that's great. Now give me 10 more. And it'll go out and try to find 10 more.
One of the things that speakers do when they're called to an out-of-town request. So let's say you live in Los Angeles and somebody hires you to give your presentation in Chicago, and you're going to be there for a week. You could put the exact dates in Chicago, Illinois, and it will tell you if there are other events that are there. And if you're smart, you reach out to those program people and say, I'm going to be there. I'll have a hotel. I have airfare already covered. So my cost for helping you will be significantly lower if we can work something out. What a great way to leverage travel and create multiple events. This empowers you to do that.
Yeah, that's a awesome point, Mitch. I know that I was doing some presentations in Dallas a couple of years ago, and I did exactly that. I already knew I was going to be speaking at the Dallas Merchandise Mart, so I reached out to a couple of other people that were holding events in Dallas, or I thought maybe they would be holding an event. And one of them actually created an event simply because I was going to be in town. And so it gave me another speaking opportunity because I was already there.
Yep. The other thing is that people will tell you, we're already booked for this year. And with airlines having schedules that get changed randomly, somebody gets ill, to tell people, but I will be a backup speaker for you. And there's no contingent cost to that other than just let me know in a reasonable amount of time and I can be there for you. That gives a meeting planner tremendous relief because stuff does happen.
It does. So you can see that there are a lot of different tools under the speaker tools. We've got tools under speaker assets like creating your positioning statement and your one sheet and so forth. The speaking opportunities that I just showed you about, the speaking engagements, but you can have it write proposals for you. You can have it create licensing agreements for being able to record your speech, outbound sales pitches, all different kinds of things. And then speech writing, it will help you write your speech. But one of the things that you can do is you can actually write a book from a speech. So let's try this one. And in this case, we do have to specify the speech material. Now, the speech material, the best thing to do is to simply upload the document that you've written out. So you've written out your speech. And in this case, I'm just uploading a speech that I'm going to be giving in a couple of weeks called AI and the Abundance Mindset. And the topic of the book, maybe we want to have the book be something along the same lines. So we'll just say AI and the Abundance Mindset. The target audience, we'll just say business leaders. Any other considerations, such as the genre of the book, preferred style of writing, the length of the book, let's just say about 100 pages. So from a speech that I've written out, this will actually now generate a 100-page book. Just like when we were writing the horror novel, we have the opportunity to go in and massage the book, have iterative prompting in there where we can say, hey, let's take this in a little bit different direction. And we probably, wrote chapter 1, it gave us a outline for 9 chapters. So we can then go in as we did before and say, write chapter 2, or like I said, have it go in a little bit different direction or give it some additional material as we do this. You can actually upload new material as you go along with this. So maybe in the speech, I talk about something, but I've got a whole bunch of background material on a particular topic that I mentioned in the speech, but I don't have time in the speech to really delve into it. Well, I can mid interaction go ahead and upload some additional materials as well. All right, let's jump down to marketing tools next.
So you've got a speech, you have an idea where you're going to speak, and now you need to tell the world about it. You need to tell the world what you're planning to do so that you can use that to leverage more speaking engagements, more books, and so forth. So that's why marketing is so critical.
Yeah, and that's really an aspect here that Mitch is an expert on. And so as we go through this, I'm actually going to rely a little bit upon some of his advice as to how these tools are performing for us. The first thing that I want to do is talk about SEO for your speaker website. Speakers tend to have a very specific format of the things that are required on their websites. They want to have a speaker reel. They want to have a list of the topics that they speak about. They want to have testimonials from people that have hired them before. They want to have a list of the places that they've spoken at before. So when we go to SEO for your speaker website, there are certain aspects of search engine optimization that are standard regardless of whether it's a speaker website or a plumbing website, in terms of, are you utilizing your heading tags correctly? Do you have the proper number of links on a page? what's your keyword density on a page. Those are kind of some standard search engine optimization techniques that web designers use. But like I said, there's these other aspects of a speaker website that are important specifically for speakers. So one of the top speakers in the world is Brian Tracy. One would think Brian Tracy's obviously got to have a really good speaker website, and quite honestly, he does. But are there some things that he could do to improve his website even more so that, quite honestly, if you go out to Google and you do a search on Brian Tracy, his website will come up. But if you go out and do a search on business speakers, is Brian Tracy going to be number one? I don't know. He probably would like to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the URL to his website, and I am simply going to paste that into this tool and click on the little checkbox. And then if he has an optional speaker page within his website, sometimes subject matter experts, their website isn't all about speaking. It might be about their books. It might be about their online courses. It might be about how they are offering courses at a local university, whatever the case may be. There's a number of things that you could have on a subject matter expert website. But if you have a speaking page specifically, which there is a page that's specifically on Brian's site called Speaking. So I'll copy that URL and I'll paste that in as well. If there's an optional author page, a page that has your books on there, you can paste that in. Who the target audience is, again, we'll just put in business leaders. And the area of expertise. Well, if we actually look at Brian's talks, he likes to talk about high performance selling. So let's copy that. And we'll put that in as one of his areas of expertise. And we hit submit. Now, because we put his actual website in here, it's going to go in there and basically crawl his website, much like Google would do, in order to give us these recommendations. And it's interesting, he does not have a speaker one sheet on his website. That's kind of one of the things that speakers want to have on there. There's suggestions in here also for what we call AI optimization. Many people today are actually utilizing AI chatbots such as ChatGPT or Perplexity to go out and do their searches rather than using Google in the first place. They might go to ChatGPT, for example, and say, I'm looking for a business leader that can come and speak at my next event. Who do you recommend? That's not the kind of thing that you would enter into Google, but it is the kind of thing you would enter into ChatGPT. And you want to be able to come up in the results that the AI gives you for those types of suggestions. So it is telling us that Brian Tracy needs to implement structured data schema markup for his speaker profile so that the search engines can better understand the content. That actually really helps with AI optimization. So it gives a number of different suggestions here. And you can see as we look back at the top that it reviewed his website and gave it a 65 out of 100. even though Brian Tracy is one of the premier speakers in the business world today, he has room for improvement on his website, just like we all do. I've been developing websites for decades, and I can tell you that I have run my website through multiple search engine optimization tools, and everybody always has room for improvement.
And this is a speaker, well-to-do, well-known. A typical speaker probably wouldn't have the same resources, but isn't it nice to know that there is room for improvement? And this analyzes the website in ways that are germane to him as a speaker, like not having the one sheet that's downloadable.
The next tool that I'm going to talk about is something that, as I mentioned, I have been creating websites for decades, and this one is something that's really kind of near and dear to my heart, but it's also something that is really frustrating because it's hard to do. And what I'm going to talk about is customer-centric copy. We all like to talk about ourselves. And the fact is that when we start writing content for our website, that's typically what we do is we write, I am Greg Jameson. I have been working with technology since the mid 1970s. I can help you build a website. I can do this. The fact is that when people come to your website, they don't care. They only care about how you can help them. So even if you are a subject matter expert and you are saying that your subject matter expertise is that you are a plumber and you are a master plumber and you've been helping people for decades with their plumbing needs and so forth. Like I said, nobody cares. People only care, hey, I've got a problem. Can you solve it for me? So when we go to a website, and this is actually really interesting because I just picked a website about someone who is a speaker. The reality is that almost every website that I see out there is written just like this. This one happens to be a really painful example, which is why I chose it. But you can see, I don't know this guy at all. He starts out with a YouTube video and a title up here, but it says, "Welcome to alexbrownofficial.net, a platform where self-improvement meets action. I'm Alex Brown, a personal developer, writer, and speaker. I operate from a simple mantra in life. This is the guiding phrase I use for businesses. Let me share my story. This is me. For years, I took the easy way out. And I finally understood what the real problem was, me." Well, he's still talking about me. So I cleaned up my act. I chased the new ambition and all of this. Go on and on and on. I do this, I do that. I decided writing was another way I could spread my message. So I blogged every day. On and on. This is incredible how much stuff he has in here about himself. And like I said, the customer really only cares what can you do for them. So I'm going to just copy.
They're every time they read it, they're saying, "So, what's in it for me? Why should I care?"
So I'm going to simply copy all of that text, and I'm going to jump over to the Sage Tools that is all about customer-centric copy. And sure, I'll put in Alex Brown.
And be prepared to have your mind blown. This is something that a very seasoned speechwriter would ask an awful lot of money to do.
And he, like I said, put a lot of stuff in here. People don't want to know all that. So the number of words to generate, I'm going to say, let's cut this down to like 500 words. Here. This is much better copy for your website than you talking about yourself all the time. So you'll notice that it says, embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal triumph where your goals and dreams are within reach. At Alex Brown, the focus is entirely on you and the incredible potential you hold. Imagine transforming where you are today to where you truly wish to be. It writes out 500 words where the whole thing is now about the customer. So when they go there, they can see that Alex Brown is actually capable of helping them. As it says down at the bottom, seize the opportunity to unleash your potential. It's time to take that decisive step towards building discipline and attaining self-mastery. The world awaits the unveiling of your best self. Much, much better, and something that whenever I hold a workshop, I always recommend to people that this is something that they really take to heart. And we frequently do this exercise live in my classes. And like Mitch said, it blows people's mind when they go, wow, that is so much better than I could have said it. And the reality is that it's much better than I could say it. And I've been writing website copy for years.
And remember, you're not substituting I for me and doing a cut, copy, paste. This is reframing the entire perspective story-wise so the reader is engaged and the reader gets it. And when the reader understands what you do, they comprehend your why and the reason that they would be interested in engaging with you. Now you're going to get traction. You're going to get business.
And since this is all about subject matter experts, people that are writing books and people that are doing public speaking, creating online courses, and however you're sharing your knowledge, one of the things that you're going to find yourself in a situation of is that you need to negotiate with someone. It might be an event coordinator. It might be a publisher. It could be someone that is just hiring you for your services, but you want to be able to practice negotiating with somebody before you actually get into that situation.
Or you hear an objection that throws you, and you want to say, well, let me get back to you, and role play a little bit with an expert system that can give you some concepts to roll back with and win that engagement rather than just go, oh, okay, I blew it. So this is another incredibly powerful, incredibly valuable resource for anybody that is selling their services.
So let's go to our advanced tools or role-playing tools, and let's pick on negotiator role play. As you can see, it comes up and we've got someone named Jordan that's going to simply say, hey, can you give me your name and a little bit about yourself? And you can do whatever you want to with this. You can actually, when you're using Google Chrome, it's the only browser that supports the talking mode. You can actually talk to it as well as typing into it. I'm going to go ahead and type into this so that you can see the results here, but I'm just going to say, I'm Greg Jameson, and I'm looking to have a speaking gig at your next conference. You'll see that the text is
Hi, Greg. It's a pleasure to meet you. I appreciate your interest in contributing to our upcoming conference. Let's just dive a bit deeper into the specifics. Could you please share with me the topic you are planning to discuss and any key insights or unique perspectives you would bring to our audience?
I'm an expert in AI, and I know that AI is a hot topic right now. So how much can I expect you to pay me? Obviously, you would never do something like that. This is specifically for demonstration purposes. But the great thing is that Jordan responds back and talks back to you as well. So you can essentially have a real-time chat.
Indeed, AI is a significant trend in today's world, and it's fantastic that you have expertise in this area. Before discussing the compensation you can expect, it's important to understand certain factors. Given your expertise, you probably provide high-quality content. However, we also need to take into consideration the duration of your talk, your experience in public speaking, and whether you'd be participating in other conference activities, like workshops or panel discussions. It is a common practice to offer an honorarium along with covering travel and accommodation expenses. However, the exact figure can vary greatly depending on the aforementioned factors. A senior, well-renowned speaker might receive around $10,000 to $20,000, while others might get lower or higher fees. Once we hash out the details of your participation, we could engage in a more concrete discussion about the compensation. Does that sound fair?
And obviously, you can go on and continue to have this kind of a conversation where you would actually try to negotiate as if you were in that situation rather than trying to be sarcastic like I was here.
So just a fine point. You mentioned that it only works in one browser. What right now only works in one browser is the human voice reading the copy. The text answers work in all browsers, but currently the ability to have Jordan speak to you in real-time human voice, that tool is limited just to the Microsoft browser at this time. Is that right?
Actually, not quite. It's Google Chrome that it works
Google.
in. Yeah. I'm actually on Firefox right now, and it is reading the information back to me in a human voice. But the ability for you to talk to it and have the browser interpret what you're saying requires Chrome.
Oh, so it does both ways. So you could literally have a conversation without typing anything, so long as you're in a Chrome browser.
Yep, exactly.
That's pretty darn remarkable.
And I'm not going to show this one, but it is very similar in that you have Mastermind with Legends, and you can choose people that you want to mastermind with. Same type of situation where if you want to talk to the people, they will, you need to be in Chrome in order for you to talk, but regardless, they will all give you their feedback, and you can hear voices coming from the various people that you've selected that you want to mastermind with.
And it's a mastermind roundtable effect, and people of different eras of different expertise will all chime in on a question that you pose, but it's from their world and their perspective. And you can imagine somebody from, at the beginning of the 2000s, somebody from the 1100s, and somebody from right now, those different eras all will mesh out different points of view and give you a wonderfully unique perspective on how these problems were handled in that time.
Exactly. So let's jump to the final tools that I really want to demonstrate today, and that is a speech evaluator. For anyone that's been involved in Toastmasters or other speaking organizations, you all know that it is imperative that you practice your speech in front of people and they give you really valuable feedback. Well, this essentially does the exact same type of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to upload a video of me giving a speech.
And again, there's no transcript here. This is just the audio and video that the computer and AI tools will comprehend, break it out, and respond to.
Yeah. Now, this is actually a fairly short speech. It was a testimonial for a speaking group that Mitch and I are both involved in. And the type of speech is provide feedback. And target length, so let's just shoot for about 3 minutes. And we'll say other public speakers, because this is a testimonial for this speaking group. And then I ask it to evaluate that speech. So as Mitch said, it actually goes and it listens to the speech. It is going to give you the kind of feedback that you would expect to hear, whether it be the use of too many filler words, the use of not having a dynamic enough voice, the use of needing to put in more gestures.
Ah, there it is. We did get the response we were looking for. It talked about your strengths and your areas for improvement and a numerical score. Continue to explain what it did, Greg.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it does, is it says, hey, your speech is well delivered, provides a positive testimony, and so on. Like Mitch said, at the bottom, it gives a score. It's given me a 7.5 out of 10. It gives me areas for improvement. And these things are actually super valuable for a speaker. I know that I might be more, not trying to think of the word for it here, but I might do this more than a lot of speakers do. Certainly, if you've been through Toastmasters, I know that you probably do it, but I tend to practice a speech a lot. And so to get a 7.5 score where this was actually a testimonial type of speech that I just gave and therefore didn't practice it a lot, it was kind of off the cuff when I was giving this, but you want to have a score of 9 or 10 out of 10. You want to knock things out of the park when you're delivering a speech. So practicing and getting this kind of feedback is really super helpful.
Absolutely. And then as you rewrite the speech, as you practice it, you record it and do another evaluation and see, have you come up a few points? You know, being a 10, that's nice. But if you got 9 out of 10, you're going to get the standing ovation, you hope. You're going to get invited back to do more speeches. And if you're doing this as a business, then you're looking not to acquire one-off presentations. You're looking for clients that will engage you over and over again, different divisions, different areas, different locations, because they trust in you that your expertise is valuable. And that's what we think Sage Tools is. So as you're thinking about this, what do you think the cost might be? You know, how will we set this up? What do you think it's worth to you?
I know that to me it's worth a lot of money because I tend to use these tools myself. So they weren't just things that you and I developed together. They're things that I go out and I use them to help me write my books. I use them to help me create my courses. I use them to evaluate my speeches, help me write my speeches. I even, on the website side of my business, I even use the search engine optimization tools to really help me help my customers. So it is much like hiring multiple virtual assistants. I
Or
now,
multiple experts in each aspect of evaluation, search engine, effectiveness, impact, business planning, approach, all of these things, because you're talking about making a one sheet, you're talking about marketing, positioning, what is your signature story, all of these things that we believe Sage Tools can help people perfect. And it is not to make you something you're not, it's to polish the stone. It's taking the gem and helping you make it as shiny and as perfect a gem as you can possibly be out there. And still, it's your voice. Nobody else is going to get the same results. Nobody else is going to look or sound or feel like you, because ultimately, as speakers, as subject matter experts, we're the most unique thing about what we are. Our experience, our lifetime is how we're promoting this. But to be a more effective presenter, to be a better marketer, to be a better representation in the public sphere, these are hard things to do, and these tools are there to help you. So we could have done this for like, $500 a month. We could have done this, for $200 a month. And we thought, what's a good number, Greg? Let's do $47 a month. And that's what you have here. And we only showed you maybe 20% of the tools. There's a lot more in this package that goes along with it. But
and the other part of that is that we actually pay a monthly fee to all of these other AI tools that are out there. We utilize something that's called an API, or Application Programming Interface. And some of the tools are pulling the content from OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. Other ones are pulling it from Google Gemini. Some of them are pulling it from Meta's AI. Some of them are pulling it from, trying to think of what some of the other ones are right now, but we're utilizing these APIs from multiple sources, which means that
you don't have to.
you don't have to. We're paying for access to those large language models and putting it into this interface that makes it easy for you, all for $47 a month for any one set of tools. Or if you want all four of the sets of tools, you can get it for $97 a month. And the really best part and crazy part is that we're still working on these. We're adding more tools all the time. We're improving the tools that we have. So
And
it's
as all these engines make their updates and their enhancements and their modifications, this automatically gets wrapped into Sage Tools. So you don't have to worry and go, oh, this is now outdated. We're not activating all the tools. No, that's not true. But it's going to take Greg's genius to go back in there and figure out how to take all the propeller head stuff out of it and make it back into human form so that we can use these tools effectively and not know what's going on behind the curtain. And that's what you get for a monthly service fee. This is going to be maintained at all times. Now, if you happen to be an exceptional speaker and you have a big line of people that follow you and you wanted to have an affiliate relationship to help market this material, or even more, you're a corporation and you wanted to white label this, we offer that experience too. Talk to you on the side for that. But for the typical speaker, the $47 a month to get started and learn how this can enhance your life, we've made it a little easier, haven't we, Greg? So
We have.
if you go to the homepage of sagefromthestage.com, you will see for $1 you can get a free trial. $1. And go to the homepage there, Greg. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. 14. There you go. There it is. Free 14-day trial. Well, it's not free. It's $1. Oh, wait. It still shows a free.
Yep. So no. So we've actually got two things. You can get a 14-day free trial that gives you access to just these 6 tools
Right.
for free for 14 days, or as Mitch is saying, for $1 for the first month, you get access to all of the tools so that you can go in and utilize them. Unlimited usage, basically, for the first month.
So we hope you found this presentation enlightening, exciting, and, oh my gosh, incredibly valuable to help enhance your life, your business, help save you time, and help make you money. So you have it now, Sage Tools. All you have to do, by the way, is go here and scan this QR code, and it'll get you right to where you need to do it. And we have a contact page if you have any questions after the fact. We look forward to having you as part of our Sage from the Stage family. And this is just the beginning of all the resources we're going to offer subject matter experts going forward. It's been our pleasure. Thank you, Greg. Incredible demonstration, incredible technology converted into human speak, which is really difficult to do. If you know any programmers, they love to talk in computer speak. Greg has this amazing ability. And as a person who enjoys marketing and I appreciate technology, I don't want to be a technologist full time. I want to use technology to make my life better and more productive. So reach out and get Sage Tools working for you. And we look forward to seeing you very soon with other Sage from the Stage offerings. Oh yes, scan me.